of the sun in the palm of my hand.
What's up, Big 12 Nation? Yes, we have the power of the sun, devils in the palms of your hand. It's Tuesday night. That can mean only one thing. It is time for your favorite Big 12 themed YouTube show, The Biggest 12, with me, your host, Clint Foster. Thank you so much for joining us here on this beautiful Tuesday. Hopefully it's beautiful where you're at. Hopefully you're not about to be blown over by a tornado. We wish good things for all the folks up north. But yes, thank you for being a part of Arizona State Night, our first ever Arizona State Night here in an off season of Big 12 football. What wild and crazy times we live in. Before we get rolling, before I introduce you to our amazing guests that we have, got a great show for you. I got to ask you to do the thing. Yeah, why haven't you done the thing yet? Please like and subscribe. We want to grow the show, and you're going to help the show by doing this, by subscribing to the channel at Big 12 Voice of College Football, sharing it with all of your friends, sharing it about Twitter and about the town. We want people to know about this thing that we got going on. This is a good thing we got going on, right? And usually there's a lot of y'all in the comments, and we're having fun. Hopefully this is going to be another one of those nights. So do subscribe, and also follow me if you haven't already, at Clint_Foster55 on Twitter, and at Clint Foster Comedy on my YouTube channel. School is winding down for me and my teacher self, so here by the end of May, I'm hoping to be able to start cranking out some more regular content for y'all, some more funny things for y'all to laugh at. I got several scripts on the backlog. But in the meantime, we got the Biggest 12 on Tuesday nights. And without further ado, I got to bring in our two amazing guests that I'm so thrilled that I was able to snag for us this evening. They are Arizona State journalism royalty, dare I say. I mean, they certainly are tonight. We've got Ralph Amsden for you and Anthony Tautry. Boys, how are you two doing on this Tuesday?
I'm doing good. I'm gonna do this so that he doesn't have to. It is Tautry.
Tautry, okay. Tautry, perfect.
And he's sensitive. He's sensitive and he's shy. And I knew he wasn't going to speak for himself. So,
yeah,
you got the royalty part right. Anthony Tautry is the man down there.
Royalty is crazy. Royalty is absolutely. I mean, we're talking royalty. We're talking legend. I mean, it's Ralph Amsden all the way. Are you kidding me right now?
Well, let's talk about royalty for a second, because the Royals, it goes pretty far down the line. You could be like a duke or an earl or whatever those things are.
That's true. That's true.
You could be like the third cousin of royalty.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You never know. Have you done one of those things where you like spit in the bottle and you send it off to the government and they tell you who you're related to?
23andMe.
Said the government part. I can't with the. I'm on enough lists. I don't want to be on another one.
Right. Okay. Well, hey, going into our first year in the Big 12, I think we should get some, getting to know you type questions out of the way. For all of our West Virginia and Kansas State and TCU and assorted folks who are going to be in the chat and watching this show. First question I got to ask you, will you two be going to Morgantown?
Hell yeah, buddy.
Anthony, is Morgantown in your future?
Look, I've already been. It's great. It's great. I'm not gonna say what the former athletic director, current professor at Arizona State, Ray Anderson, had to say about the whole thing. But we'll see. I'll put a pin in it, and we'll reevaluate the situation when we get there.
That's fair enough. So I said this to you before the show started, Anthony. I love your background there. Maybe playing into a little bit of a stereotype. I want to know from y'all, because y'all are both ASU grads, right? So is the party school rep, is that earned? Is that an urban legend? I mean, let the rest of the nation know.
Anthony, do you think Michael Crow's going to watch this?
I would say probably not, because it has to do with sports.
Clint, then yes. It's all real.
It's all real. Every single bit of it.
Look, Arizona State takes so many digs, like on social media, on YouTube docs, on Netflix shows, on movies, whatever, for the entire like party mentality. And Arizona State does it right. That's Big 12 schools coming to visit. Definitely get here a day or two early to enjoy the festivities.
All right, yeah.
I will say this. I will say that I do want to interject. Like, the true definition of a party school is a school where the college is the biggest thing, like where the parties are something that are like collectively thrown, in my opinion. Like these schools that are in the middle of nowhere, your Texas Techs, your UConns, Kansas, like you're gonna like that atmosphere when there is an event, like a school sanctioned event. To me, like that's the real party school. That's what the real energy is. I think with Arizona State, it's like the lull doesn't exist. And I think that that's really the biggest difference, is that on Tuesday morning, Arizona State's a pretty good time. Not just Friday night, but like Tuesday morning. Yeah.
Amazing. So where do y'all land on the cartoon devil versus the pitchfork logo? What do you like the old school look? Do you like the new decals on the helmets? Where do you land on that?
I've always liked Sparky. I've always liked Sparky on the logo. I'm gonna be honest. I'll take it a different direction. I love the sunburst that they had. That I know was on the field for a little bit. That's my favorite like ASU logo I think of all time. But if you're making me choose between the pitchfork and Sparky, I'm gonna go with Sparky all the way. But I think one thing Big 12 fans may not necessarily know now that I think they will at a certain point is Arizona State's got some pretty nice uniform combos that they throw out there with some of those logos and stuff. It's definitely a lot of fun. Yeah, the sunburst, definitely my favorite one.
That's what you're talking about. Okay. What do you think, Ralph?
I love Sparky. I would like the pitchfork more if it was a pitchfork, but it's not. It's a trident.
A trident. That's true. That's true.
But no, Sparky's cool. If you ever get a chance, there's this legend, I don't know if it's true or not, that the guy who designed Sparky was an animator for Disney, and he designed Sparky to look like Walt Disney. But
I have heard that, actually.
A moment where Arizona State partnered with Disney to design a new Sparky, and the fans were so mad, but I liked it. I thought it was cool. So there's a rendering out there of the Disney Sparky, and it is, I mean, it's nightmare fuel a little bit. It looks like Sparky on what are the drugs that make your pupils bigger? Opiates, maybe. It looked like Sparky on opiates, but I thought it was cool.
Sparky on opiates.
All I'm seeing is Frankenweenie for some reason. That's all that's coming up in my Google search. But that's definitely something for another time. So a couple of, again, there's a lot of getting to know you that needs to happen with Arizona State coming into the conference. Y'all don't really have a lot of connections with existing schools outside of Texas Tech, and we're talking way back when. There is the connection, however, that you and Houston have the same hand sign, right? Y'all both do this, which I've been reliably informed is not the shocker. It's forks up for y'all, and it's a cougar missing a toe for Houston. Who's got the better claim to this hand sign?
What do you think, Ralph?
I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere that Houston did it first. And so, I mean, they can have it, I guess, but it is interesting. I'm a respecter of intellectual property. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we can strike a deal with Houston where we're forward facing and they're
maybe
backwards. But I don't know who to broker that deal. Maybe James Harden is the perfect person to get this done. Got history in Houston and with Arizona State.
Makes a lot of sense. When I think reasonable, like diplomatic negotiations, I think James Harden for sure.
Yeah, don't we all?
So here's another thing. I was looking back at Winsipedia, as you do, and I found something very fascinating concerning Arizona State and TCU's history with each other. These two schools have played twice. So I am a TCU guy, long time, big TCU guy. Do y'all have any idea who has bragging rights in this all-time series between Arizona State and TCU?
If I had to guess, I would say TCU just based off of the program itself. But to be honest with you, I've got no idea. If they only played twice, maybe ASU got one.
I'll jump on the other side just because I'm hedging my bets. I want to be right.
Okay, so TCU has played every single one of the former Pac-12 schools. Arizona State is one of only 2 schools that TCU has never beaten, ever. Arizona State has 2
No
wins from
faith coaching.
1974 and 1975, famously horrible years for TCU football, but one of only 2 schools that TCU has never beaten. Can you guess what the other one is that we've never beaten?
Is it like a school that's just now entering the conference, or just in general?
Just a Pac-12 school, former Pac-12 school. We've beaten every other Pac-12 school that's coming into the Big 12. We've beaten Arizona, Colorado, and Utah.
Okay.
But there's another former Pac-12 school that we have never beaten besides Arizona State.
Washington State.
Oregon State.
It is Washington, actually. UW.
Ralph.
0-1 against Washington. Yeah, wow. There you go. And we've got 3 wins against Stanford, USC, and Utah. So everybody loves to beat I would say those 3 schools, actually. Who likes any of them? Okay, so let's get to start to talking about the state of Arizona State football, situation last year, looking forward to next year. This is something that I've asked everybody, boys. If you had to give a letter grade to Arizona State's season in 2023, and I know it was a rough go. Arizona State, also, by the way, for those who don't know, the leader in developing first-round draft talent for other schools that doesn't stay there. If you had to assign a letter grade to the 2023 season, what would you give the Devils?
Clint, did I hear you say you're a teacher?
I am, yes.
Okay. I'm going to give Arizona State a B+.
Okay.
Because it's on an IEP. It's
okay, that's fair.
We got sanctions. Didn't have enough offensive linemen to field the team last year. Had to run the swinging gate against UCLA. Like we got some concessions that were made in order for the way. But they were also I think it's like 5 plays away from being 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
Which is absurd because I mean they were a play away from beating Cal, 2 plays away from beating Colorado, and then I don't even want to talk about the Washington game, but that should have been a win. You're welcome, Washington.
Yeah, I'm with you kind of on that same framework. I'd give ASU probably between a B- or a B. I mean, given the circumstances of last season, everything that Dillingham really had to go through. I know a lot of people see the 3-9 and you immediately like, how could you give that high of a letter grade? I think for me, last season was never really about the wins. And it's something that Ralph and I talked a lot about when we did post-game shows, is you were always playing for years kind of down the line. Last year was really, really important for establishing a culture to an Arizona State football program that just didn't really ever exist, or a culture within the program that, wasn't a positive one. So despite losing as many games, despite not being able to throw out, enough offensive linemen to run special teams plays at a certain point in the season, to have your running back be the punter, your tight end be quarterback at certain times, like to go through all of those things and still show up week in and week out and be what Ralph said, just a few plays shy of a bowling in a first year is absolutely absurd. So I think, again, last season was tough for the fans to watch and be a part of, but I think it was so necessary for what's to come if Arizona State is actually going to be a competitive program in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think that's really well reasoned and fair from both of y'all. I will say I like Dillingham a lot. I saw one interview with him early on in the season. People were talking about the sanctions, and I can't remember what the question was that he got about something along the lines of like, how are you looking at this season if you're not playing for much? Essentially, it was like you can't play in a bowl game, and he had a great clapback about just the nature of team sports and football, and like if you're not going out there and trying, what are you doing? And I was like, I like this guy. I like what he's I like where he's coming from.
What play to win the game.
Yeah, essentially.
Damn it,
like
Anthony.
A little someone else who might have said. Yeah. What are y'all's thoughts on Dillingham?
I love him.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Yeah,
it's hard not to. I mean, he's 34. He just turned 34.
Yeah.
He's literally my age. Head coach of a college football team.
He's got Chihuahua energy. I mean, it's just unlimited. and he's very well read, and he's all about leadership. He's definitely like the guy that if he wasn't coaching would be either like a mega church pastor or like leading NFT conferences or something, like the next, like a pint-sized Tony Robbins or something. He's just it's just unlimited energy, and he seems to, so far, it hasn't been tested much, but he seems to kind of keep the main thing, and the vision for where the program is going keeps him from being too reactive to how wild things have been at Arizona State, because there's stuff being uncovered about the previous regime that gets the fan base in a tizzy every week.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, this last week, he kind of had to come out and be like, eyes forward, not back. And I think that was not out of frustration. I think it was advice for the fan base of him just saying, like, this is how I get through it, even though we got scholarship reductions, even though we got recruiting sanctions, even though, the bowl thing happened last year, even though we're 175 days into not having an athletic director. Worry about the future, quit thinking about the past, you'll be less miserable. But yeah, this season's going to be really interesting, because I think the new car smells kind of, it's going to be about the car's performance from here on out, and it'll be really interesting to see if he keeps the same energy and drive and isn't as reactive. Because I think the real sign of somebody who is kind of like a lower thinking or more emotional person is the amount of reactiveness that they display. And thus far, he has not been that. And I would love for that to continue, because I imagine there's plenty more nonsense, because Antonio Pierce has yet to, none of the stuff about what happened under the previous regime is going to come out until every coach comes to an agreement with the NCAA. And Antonio Pierce hasn't done that yet. So when he does that, the news cycle is going to start over again. And it's just going to keep coming until they win. So I hope he keeps the same forward thinking energy.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what it's going to take this year. And again, it's something that we talked about a lot in the post-game shows last year. Something we talk about kind of on the daily is, last year you get the gimme year. And I think now it is, you don't necessarily need to be world beaters in year 2, but you need to show that you're going in the right direction. For me, the thing that I think that stands out the most about Dilly, and specifically being such a young coach, right? The youngest coach in Power 5 football, is just the fact that I think it would be really easy for anybody, whether it be a coach, a lawyer, a doctor, whatever, an entrepreneur, to get their dream job and then just kind of be able to chill out a little bit, right? To maybe coast. And for Dilly, it's such the opposite of like, okay, we've got the dream job, and now the work starts. It's less of we've done this entire journey to get to this point. And for Dilly, it's been like, okay, no, all of these other journeys has led to the real one that I've wanted since I was a kid. And that's seeing Arizona State be a national powerhouse in whatever conference, right? So I think there's been a lot of national noise when the whole thing first started, whether that be from rivals in Tucson or whatever, saying, hey, you know what? If Dilly has success, he's gone 2-3 years, just like everybody else would be. That's genuinely not the case. This is his dream job. This is where he wants to be. And if Arizona State succeeds over the course of the next few years, then you're looking at a coach that is going to be like a Gundy and be with this program for 20 plus years, or a Kyle Whittingham. And I think that's what separates Dilly from some of these other coaches nationally, and then also in the Big 12.
And in 6 years, he'll be a man. Yeah. 40.
That's true. I'll be able to let everybody know. I mean, we talked about the near misses last year, and I would add actually Oklahoma State, speaking of Gundy, to that list.
Man.
I mean, that was a very frustrating game from Arizona State perspective. If you had to assign a high point to last season, what would you say was the high point for y'all? And just, put on your fan hat. What was the best part last year for y'all?
You got one, Ralph?
I think I got 2. I have what they did in order to beat UCLA is one of the more fun things that I've witnessed following Arizona State. And then like the entire day before kickoff of the Territorial Cup, It was like a pretty fun day. Got to go back to Tempe, got to see a lot of people, and it was all fun till the game started. Those are my favorite 2 moments: is the UCLA game and every day of my life up until that Territorial Cup where we lost, where it looked like we were going to get reverse 70-7 by Arizona.
Ralph, that
I
sounds like
think-
my exact national championship experience. That entire day, I was on absolute cloud 9. Like my whole life has built to this moment, and then completely downhill from there. Go ahead, Anthony. What was yours?
I think for me, I'll follow Ralph there. Go with 2. I think the first 3 quarters of that Washington game, were great, leading up to what transpired in the 4th quarter. And then in reality, the highest point for me was Southern Utah. That first half against Southern Utah, Jaden Rashada, 4th down, heaves one 40 yards to Xavier Guillory with a phenomenal touchdown celebration. It was like it's like, oh my goodness, are we back? And then the haboob happened and we realized we were so far from back. But yeah, those were probably my 2 favorite moments of a 3-9 season last year.
That was very much like a, oh, God doesn't want us to thrive moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, things are going great. 3.5-hour weather delay.
It's gonna be one of those years.
Yes.
Man. So I got a text question for us before we head on to start talking about next season. Buddy of mine noticed your Coyote shirt there, Anthony. And he says he wants to know what it was like having an NHL team use the Arizona State rink, and if your fandom is going to travel to Utah with the departure of the Coyotes. Hashtag RIP Yotes. What are your thoughts on all that?
Second question, no, definitely not. Not till they're potentially back here, or until there's hockey back in the Valley. Definitely tough. I am a Chargers fan, so I'm used to my teams departing their initial cities. It is what it is.
Jeez.
But I think it was great for Arizona State, right? To be able to build their hockey program the way that Greg Powers is doing it. Entering this season, what's going to be the SEC conference of like collegiate hockey this year is going to be phenomenal for the program. Greg Powers has done a phenomenal job. Mullet Arena is a phenomenal arena, despite ASU fans probably wishing that they had a basketball arena instead of a hockey rink. But it was crazy to see just how many people love hockey in the state of Arizona, not just with what's transpired over the last month with the entire Coyotes to Salt Lake situation, but really from that first puck drop with the Coyotes being able to sell out. The ticket prices were crazy. Just the entire environment around that area was crazy, and it translated to when ASU hockey took Mullet as well. It was absolutely crazy to see. I don't think I've seen a fan base at Arizona State rally around hockey the way they did that they have any other sport, really.
Yeah, good answer. Okay, so moving on into 2024. First I got to know what y'all's honest thoughts and feelings are about joining the Big 12, because I know, like, from a Big 12 fan perspective, I was super excited to see. I'm of 2 minds. I was super excited to see the 4 teams that we got come in. I think that Arizona State, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, they all add a fun dimension to the conference, and it keeps the conference strong. And, there was a piece of it, a lot of arrogant folks on Twitter getting their comeuppance. But also, I am so utterly depressed by the loss of regionality of college football. I think that's one of the things that makes college football so beautiful and so wonderful is the regionality of the sport. What are y'all's thoughts and feelings going into year 1 of the Big 12?
You want to take this one?
Sure. I'm split. I'm split a little bit, and I think I'm more split now than I was prior to the NFL draft, because you see the amount of talent that came out of the last season of the Pac-12, right? It doesn't just start with Caleb Williams, but Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, and some of the other talent, right?
Daniels.
Jaden Daniels.
I didn't say that. I don't know who said that.
And really just like from top to bottom, the conference was really, really talented last year. And it sucks that a conference that had so many picks in the top 15 couldn't find a way to get a media deal done. The history of that conference really evaporating. It was crazy to watch. It was crazy to watch that lifespan, that the media lifespan of that entire thing just kind of blow up. I'm excited though for the Big 12, and I think I'm more excited for the ASU fan base than I am myself, just because like I've been and covered other like programs across the nation, and I know what college football can be and what it is to those fan bases. And I think this fan base specifically wants a winner, and I think they're going to see this year what it takes from the fans to actually be a winner. And that might sound a little harsh, but I think also the fun side of that is being able to travel to some of these cities that they've never been to, right? I think they got the experience with Stillwater, Ames. There's just so many different places where they eat, sleep, and breathe college sports that this fan base is going to learn real quickly that if you want a winner, especially in this conference, that it's going to take you eat, sleeping, and breathing college athletics.
Yeah, you're not going to see a lot of empty Rose Bowls in the Big 12. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
You're not going to see a lot of Stanford's cows in the Big 12. I'm excited to have y'all. Okay, let's look at this schedule, this 2024 schedule, and let's break it down a little bit. What were your initial thoughts whenever this became public? What games do you have circled? What games are you interested in? Walk me through it, boys. What do you think?
Kick it off, Ralph.
Well, I'm a Wyoming fan, so I'm pretty miserable about the opener. Grew up in Wyoming, even lived in Laramie as a kid, and that's not going to be a fun night. But other than that, I look at this. I love the prospect of going to Manhattan. My wife lived there for a while. My mother-in-law is a Kansas State alum. I'm looking forward to actually going out to Manhattan. I know people said it's going to be cold, but I mean, we had games in Corvallis in November. It can't be worse than that. So I'm really, really excited for that. And I am here to artificially promote a rivalry with UCF. I'm going to AstroTurf this thing until it's real.
Hey, if you want to pick a fight with UCF, they will gladly have you. Let me just tell you that.
That's just it. And Orlando, I feel like, is East Coast Tempe. Like everybody says that Arizona State's never going to have the fan engagement because there's too much stuff to do in Tempe and the weather's too nice. But you look at Orlando and it's like, oh, they have a few things to do there. And the weather's not bad. And, you know, off the heels of their 13-0 season, they've been insane, especially online and especially in their support of the program. And I think Arizona State and UCF are two of the three biggest public institutions of the country. So I would love to have beef with, and you know, real or not, we have a rivalry with Utah now that was completely AstroTurfed by fans on Twitter who hate each other. So
Utah's very easy to hate too.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, as a former Mountain West team, Utah is very easy to hate.
Hey, and I get that. And again, Wyoming fan. So, but the question you asked Anthony, you know, I had a Pac-12 show, so I don't love leaving the Pac-12 because it kind of ended my show. But the transfer portal era has prepared me for this because you get upset about something, then you get excited about something. Like we lost Elijah Badger in the transfer portal, then we got a 4-star defensive end from Texas. So you're like, damn it, yes. And that, I mean, that type of stuff prepared me to be like, I hate that we're losing the Pac-12, but being with some of these other fan bases in the Big 12 is going to be so much fun. And to be honest, Arizona State fans need to kind of be educated on what it's like to be all in. And we had road games at Oklahoma State and Texas Tech in the last 6-7 years. And they were fantastic, and that's what we should be striving for as well. So I'm super, super excited about Kansas State, and I would love all of the smoke from the UCF astronauts or whatever they're called.
Oh my gosh!
So Jackson Johnson says Texas State looks like a trap game for Arizona State. What do y'all feel about that?
I don't.
They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not
all.
too worried. I'm not too worried about Texas State. I think this is a team in ASU that's going to go 2-1 probably to start non-conference. I'm sorry, Ralph. I think they end up getting the job done against Wyoming. The Texas Tech game
that doesn't count. That's the first game. That's a scrimmage.
Okay. Whatever you say. I think the Texas Tech game for me on the road is going to be really the identity game for this team. I know it's really early on in the season, first conference game on the road, whatever. But I think Arizona State, Texas Tech, I think this year, both programs are pretty similar in my mind. I think there's probably a little bit of a higher expectation maybe with Tech. But still, I feel like those two teams for me are on par heading into this season. There's some tough games. Kansas and Utah back-to-back is not going to be great. I love that you get a bye week, though, after Texas Tech. And then 4 of your last 6 games are on the road. You got Cincinnati, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and then you got Territorial Cup in Tucson. It's not going to be easy, but I think the bye weeks are really, really key for this team and kind of where they are set up. Like I said, you get the bye week after the road game against Texas Tech to prep for a really good Kansas team, and then Utah right after that. And then you get another bye week after Cincinnati on the road to kind of gear up to head to Stillwater and for the home stretch. So it's not going to be an easy stretch of games, but this is certainly a team in ASU that I think they can get to that 6-win mark in a perfect scenario, or in an above average scenario.
Okay. I mean, hey, you mentioned that. I mean, that's a tough 3-week stretch there. Tech, Kansas, and Utah. Kansas and Utah back to back. I mean, at least you get them at home, but those are two teams that I could very easily see playing in Arlington at the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the thing that stands out to me the most when I look at the schedule is that is a brutal road schedule in conference. I mean, if you subbed out Cincinnati for Iowa State, it would be ungodly. But as it is, like Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and I mean, just Arizona being a rivalry game, I mean, that's going to be a crazy atmosphere wherever it is. But those 3, Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, those are tough places to play, especially Oklahoma State. So, yeah, Arizona State's definitely going to be tested when it comes to playing on the road.
Yeah, but like Ralph said earlier, there were some trips that ASU would make late in a Pac-12 schedule to Pullman, to Corvallis, that were just absolute, just like you knew going in, you're like, it doesn't matter how good this team is, they're not going to be able to win in Corvallis in November. It's just not going to happen. Or you get to Pullman and you're like, well, this is just going to be the grossest game you've ever seen, and there's probably not a high chance that Arizona State comes out on top. So yeah, there's certainly some road games, and I know Ralph can attest to it, that on this schedule they don't look pretty. But Arizona State isn't going into this conference without, being tested by some of those other just nasty places to play.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to be twofold too. Those boys from Lawrence are going to come in on a Saturday on October 5th, and it's going to be 117 on the field.
Yeah.
So drink your pickle juice or whatever you got to do to survive.
Good point. Yeah. Y'all, we keep talking about Corvallis. Clint Moses has been in the chat here. He's saying, I see 6 wins, maybe a bowl win for 7. I mean, Ralph says he sees a pathway to 6. Anthony, what do you think as a win total as you look at the schedule?
I mean, anywhere between 5 and 7 is where I think this team needs to be. I think 5, and the fans can sit there comfortably and be like, hey, we're continuing the trend in the right direction. The team is obviously going to tell you that they'd love to go bowling. They want to win every game. I think you get 7 wins. I think if Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State find a way to get to 7 wins this season, if I'm in the Big 12, I'm shaking in my boots, because we just saw, again, I know it's April 30th, but Arizona State's class of 2025 ranks number 1 in the Big 12 and number 15 in the country, and that's coming off of a 3-9 season. You start throwing some wins in here, you start to get the fan base to buy in with an alumni base of the largest public institution in the country that now is starting to win football games with a coach that is active online, that's active in local recruiting. I think that's where Arizona State could be significantly dangerous. It's just a matter of how soon can they get to that 7-win mark.
Okay. Well, I asked Mike Luke the reverse of this question last week. We had Arizona night last week. Mm-hmm. So I want to know from y'all, why should we hate Arizona?
I don't think you have to put that much energy into it either way, to be honest. There's a football show.
Yeah.
I don't. Why? I mean, why hate something that you can just ignore? Is my advice. And I'm not big into the rivalry really, except day of, because I cover a lot of high school football, and a lot of the kids I cover end up at University of Arizona. Like I want the absolute best for them, but unless they're good, and they have not been good, maybe more than like good, like an above average team. They have not been good maybe more than twice in the last 15, 16 years. So if they're good, definitely pay attention. They have a chance to be good next year. But you on the basketball end, you probably have to deal with them a whole lot more. A lot of the time, they're going to know more about your team than you do. They're a very educated, passionate fan base when it comes to basketball. They'll fit in the Big 12 really, really well. But when it comes to football, like their diehards are diehards. They have probably, I'd say, like 5 or 6 of the wildest people on Twitter that I've ever come across in my life. And you could probably trick yourself into believing that means that they're all like that. And the truth is they're just not. I would say don't put a ton of mental energy into Arizona at all. They're not good on the road. They've never been good on the road. And if you have a chance to go out and see Tucson, maybe go on a different road trip that year.
Okay.
Definitely come to Tempe though, for sure. But I wouldn't worry about them too much. They're good at home. They're good on the football field maybe once every 8 years or so. I think they got a good coach in Brent Brennan. I think they got some really good players heading into next year. But the expectation is that they're going to come in and take the Big 12. I'm telling you, that is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's definitely not happening. To piggyback off what Ralph said, they've got some really, really talented players this year. T-Mac is one of the best wide receivers in college football for sure. Definitely going to be a first-round pick next year. Noah Fafita, I think, is a talented quarterback. At this level, I think he's a little bit undersized to really be a high pick in next year's draft. But this year, I think there's a lot of pressure on Brent Brennan to succeed immediately because they do have arguably two of the best players that program's had in the last 15 to 20 years. So the expectation, if you ask the fan base, is that they are going to win the Big 12 and that they're a 10-win team. I don't believe that is the case. I think they've got talented players. I'm not necessarily as high on Brent Brennan as others are, but that's just my 2 cents on it. If you would like a reason to dislike Arizona, I would say it's more than likely if you have a friend in your life that is, I don't know, let's say you have a friend that's 35 years old, that's a whopping 5'9", 5'8", 140 pounds, and they tell you, you know what? In my day, I could do just stop. Just stop. Or they're like, if I was 6'2", 200 pounds, like stop, dude. It's like they try to be blue bloods. They're not. And I'm not sitting here saying Arizona State is any of those things, but we don't claim to be any of those things. Arizona fans will actively tell you that they are a top 5 basketball program in the history of college basketball. They will actively tell you that they are a college football playoff team heading into the 2024 season. They're not. They're just another program with some good players. Basketball, congratulations. You'll see them get knocked out. What? They made it to the round of 32 or Sweet 16 this past year? Sweet 16, right?
I can't remember now. I think they were in the Sweet 16. I think
so. They're due for around a 64 loss this coming year. Ralph,
they do that. So they do that every other year. Yeah.
Well, they should have lost to us 2 years ago in basketball in the second round. I don't know if y'all watched that game. It's outrageous. Mike Miles got fouled at midcourt so blatantly, no penalty. And Arizona ends up winning the game. And then one of their players touched one of our cheerleaders on the boob on the way out of the court.
I do remember that. Crazy. Enjoy Frankie Collins, by the way.
Yeah.
Holy bananas.
Oh, yeah. There's another TCU Arizona State connection. I am excited about that. Okay, so I want to be conscious of time. I've got we always try to play at least one silly game to close things out here on the Biggest 12 with my guests. I actually got two for y'all tonight. They're on the shorter side, so we'll see what we can get done here. First of all, Arizona State is in a very unique class of college football teams that have mascots that are weather events, essentially, right? They're weather events, and so I thought it might be fun to have you guys make a tier list of all of the other college football teams that are either weather adjacent or of some demonic flavor, right? So these are like Arizona State's competitors in that regard. Y'all down with this?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
and this can be based on your personal feelings about this team, or just like you think their quality as a mascot. But we're ranking the mascots. So here we go. First of all, Alabama Crimson Tide. This is debatable as to whether or not this is actually a weather event, but it made it an even 10. So where do you think Alabama lands on the tier list of weather-related mascots?
Well, Red Tide is just algae.
Yeah.
That's got to be like a D.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty firm D, especially with some of the other ones that we have on here.
Yeah, I can't give a high grade to plankton.
Plankton. Yeah, I'm happy with any excuse to put Alabama in a D tier for anything. Okay, so moving on to the demonic side, the Duke Blue Devils. How do we feel about the Duke Blue Devils as a mascot?
I feel like we gotta go A or B, right? It's like our stepbrother here. We got Bobby too. Like, I feel like it's got to be A or B tier. What do you think, Ralph?
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna agree with you that the Bobby connection, we got to show some respect. They're also Devils. What their origin is, I am not sure. Just the color blue.
I have not researched it.
That's where they come from. It's
out of the blue, you might say.
Out of the blue. There you go. I'll go with. I'll say B.
I could live with B.
Okay. B for Blue Devils. There we go. All right. The Iowa State Cyclones, your new conference mates. I wanted to be sure to include the old logo where the Cyclone has a cardinal head because they can't decide what their mascot actually is. Where would you put Iowa State?
I mean, a Cyclone's a pretty damn cool mascot. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a pretty damn cool mascot.
It is cool, but I feel like in Big 12 country, it's like offensive because like that is actually devastating to people's lives. It would be like if the Pac-12 had a team that was like the UCLA gas prices. Like it's actually like a real thing that does terrible stuff to the people of the Big 12. So I guess if you're talking about like really instilling fear, it's got to be pretty high up there.
Are you thinking
a petition to change
A or B? Or you think it's somewhere lower?
I am definitely more afraid of tornadoes than I am the devil, especially the blue one. We'll go A.
Yeah, I can live with A.
Okay. Good reasoning, Ralph. Good reasoning. I don't know if this is a weather event. I was thinking maybe like Aurora Borealis, the Kent State Golden Flashes. What do we feel about Kent State?
Looks like the Chargers lightning bolt underneath it.
It is, and they have in the past had the Chargers lightning bolt on their helmets, which is kind of also weather.
Yeah.
Oh, it reminds me of like, what if the honeycomb cereal mascot, like what if lightning bolts were actually just the honeycomb cereal mascot coming down from the sky at the speed of light? I would put it on the level of Duke. Of like, am I supposed to be threatened by this? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say B tier.
Okay. Next up, the Flames of Jerry Falwell Jr. University, the Liberty Flames. Where are we putting the Flames?
I'll be honest. I feel like Flames are just such a lame. They're just lame. Like maybe if I was 5 and I had a Hot Wheels still, that I could get on board with it. But the Liberty Flames doesn't do it for me, like at all.
Also, like the irony of Jerry Falwell's university's mascot being like the flames of eternal damnation.
Yeah,
Is just it's too much. It's got to go to D.
Yeah, I'm with D.
all the way down, all the way down. Okay, again, this one's not really a weather event, but they're talking about a rainbow, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
S.
Were you
Yeah,
S
no, it's
here?
S for sure. There doesn't even need to be a discussion. It's S.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's whatever the Care Bears do with their tummies, and that usually gets the job done.
It does. It does. It does. All right. Miami Hurricanes, probably the one that everybody immediately came to mind when we were talking about weather-related mascots. Where you put Miami?
I feel like there's just, I mean, you could take this conversation a bunch of different ways, but I think Hurricanes in the same boat as Cyclones just feels right to me. I feel like it's a badass like mascot to have, to be honest with you.
It's a good mascot. I would just say that a tornado like looks cool from afar. Hurricanes are just all bad. I don't know if you're one of those people that's like stuck on the Weather Channel all the time and you just love watching the white spinning donut move up the coast and chase people away from the Outer Banks or whatever. Then I guess it's as cool as a Cyclone, but as a mascot, it is pretty great.
So are we both an A?
Where do you want to put this one, Ralph?
I'll follow your lead. We'll say
A. Okay.
A2.
Yeah, A2.
All right. There you go. A2, right behind Iowa State. Okay, our second and final demonic adjacent mascot, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. I have no clue what the story is with this mascot. It's a guy in a top hat with mutton chops who apparently is a deacon and is also a demon. Where are you putting Wake?
I got to be honest. I like it. The fact that school tricks people into paying $60,000 a year to live north of Winston-Salem is pretty wild. Respect to Wake Forest, but I would knock them down for the fact that almost more than any college in America, people don't refer to their mascot ever. They just say Wake.
Yeah, this is I'm trying to read up on it, and it's literally like they don't know what they want to be. It's like they didn't know if they wanted to be a demon or a deacon, so they're just like, yeah, what if we did both?
It's the most expensive school on this list,
and
they can't make a decision about the mascot.
I feel like it's not horrible, but it's definitely doesn't. I think this is a perfect school for C tier, to be honest with you.
Okay.
All right, C tier it is. C tier it is. Arguably the greatest logo among these teams, the Tulane Green Wave, the Angry Wave. Where are we putting the Green Wave?
On logo alone, I feel like it has to be above Bama, but it can't be too far above Bama because we already dissed Plankton. And agree. I think
this is just Galveston water. This is just it's just green.
I mean, Tulane's in New Orleans, right?
Yes, it's in New Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, it's a pretty scary mascot then. Shout out to. I guess no, that would be the hurricane. Well, the water is the problem. Now you have me debating something terrible.
The water is the problem. Yes.
Yeah. Hurricane bad. Levees breaking worse.
I'm kind of torn on this one. I mean, I think the logo is great. Actual mascot, it's all right.
It also presumes that the wave can talk, as it's got a yell cone.
Now that would be scary.
Teeth too. It's got teeth.
And that anytime you see blue water, it's actually just the ocean's hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel C tier? Below Wake Forest?
Yeah, it's got to be above Bama.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh, okay. C tier for Tulane. All right. And last but not least, arguably, I think the mascot that makes the least sense of all of these, the Tulsa Golden Hurricane.
That's
it's a dust storm, right? It's a dust bowl reference.
I assume so. Which is essentially the same as a Sun Devil, right? Isn't a Sun Devil a dust devil, a cyclone that's in the desert?
I think it's just whatever is in the sun that gives you cancer.
Oh, well, it could be that too. If you get touched by his trident, you get skin cancer immediately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Golden Hurricane, that feels like the biggest reach ever. That feels like a bigger reach than Bo Nix at 12, to be honest.
I mean, they literally have hurricane flags for Tulsa, Oklahoma, for a landlocked state.
But a golden one? Just because there's dirt in it?
The dirt, yeah. Well, it's just yeah. Yes.
I mean, I'm not gonna throw a fit about it, but I feel like this is also a C tier mascot.
All right. I'm just gonna disclaimer if anybody, because I'm a English major, taught English. This feels like I'm disrespecting Grapes of Wrath right now, but I didn't have anything to do with Tulsa's grade. I'll just put that
John Steinbeck will forgive you, Ralph.
Yeah, okay. The ghost of Tom Joad.
All right, there you go. So there's your official, ladies and gentlemen, your official weather and hell-related mascot tier list from the experts. Okay, last game I have for you, and this actually was an idea. I got to give a shout out to my man who sent in the text question. This game is in honor of your former coach, Herm Edwards. The game is called Hermit the Frog. And what I want you to do, I'm going to show each of you a Herm Edwards quote. I would like for you to read this Herm Edwards quote as if you were Kermit the Frog. Okay? This is where we see how down to clown y'all are. Okay? How appropriate of a Biggest 12 guest you are, for the future,
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Okay.
Sure,
all right.
Sure.
So I'll let y'all pick whichever one is speaking to you, whichever one, when I put them on the screen. Do y'all feel fairly good about your Kermit the Frog impressions?
I do
not even a little bit, but we'll give it a shot.
Okay. All right. So first Herm Edwards quote. Here you go. Why don't you take it away as Kermit?
Are we paper, rock, scissors for this one, Totri?
Do you want to do this one? It's up to you. I'll do the one you don't want to do because I'm not confident in mine.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay.
This is the greatest thing about sports. You play to win the game. Sheesh. Hello? You don't just play to play it. I sound like Patrick Mahomes. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out because it matters. Ah!
Oh, I love it so much, Ralph. That was
incredible, Ralph.
That was excellent. I'm so happy. Okay. All right, Anthony. So it's up to you to close this out, man.
Dear Lord, the pressure.
Your last Hermit the Frog. Your last Herm Edwards quotes. Take it away, Anthony.
Oh my goodness. This is tough. Okay.
Should I do with my Miss Piggy voice and butter you up?
A goal without a plan is a wish. What's your plan? It's on you because you have to do all the work.
That was incredible.
That was so good. I'm so proud of y'all two. That was amazing. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened on the Big 12.
Oh,
Short of waffles coming on the Big 12. That was pretty big. That was a pretty big night. Okay, y'all. This has been the Biggest 12. Ralph, Anthony, thank you so much for being here. Please plug your stuff. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can follow you. Take it away.
I'm here right now. That's all you need to know. And shout out to Dave Bennett, a huge ASU fan. Also, the father of Cade Bennett, TCU offensive lineman. You're going to love that kid. He's a people mover.
Love it. Absolutely love it, guys. You can follow me at Anthony_Totri. You can follow all things Arizona State and PHNX at PHNX_Sun Devils live 5 days a week, sometimes more. Come hang.
Perfect, fantastic, boys. Thank you so much again for joining us, y'all. This has been the biggest 12. We do it every Tuesday night, except for next Tuesday. I won't be able to do next Tuesday. We got baccalaureate at the school, so we will postpone Colorado night until May 14th. So you'll want to be here for Colorado night, where we'll close out all these off-season themed nights, and then we'll move into some other off-season content. I got some delicious stuff for you. So again, subscribe at Big 12 VOCFP here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Clint_Foster55 and follow my YouTube channel at Clint Foster Comedy. Until next time, I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. I hope your team wins and go Big 12. See you around.